What's up everyone, I'm Danny the Dinosaur Drawer, and today I'm going to be showing you all how to draw the Scorpius Rex full body from Camp Cretaceous. So I've got my Graph Gear 500 mechanical pencil with me here today, an eraser, and some paper. So our Scorpius Rex is going to be in a crouched position, and it's going to be looking to the left of our page. So let's put in the outline. So we're going to want to make like an oval / round shape right about there to represent the head. Then I have a neck sloping upwards. The body is rather small, so make an oval shape for that. It's going to have a long tail that curves. I want the pelvis to be right about there, the shoulder right about here. So I'm using like ovals and circles to represent the different joints, sort of like building a skeleton. The back limbs are much longer than the front limbs, but it's on level ground, so these are going to be bent at the knee. It's got a very long ankle. And we're going to see both of the hind limbs in clear view. Feet will be right about there. The arm is not short, but it is shorter than the back legs. But yeah, it's crouched on the ground as if it is sniffing. You might want to move the head a little bit closer to the ground. That's sort of what makes the Scorpius Rex kind of creepy, is that it's quite advanced when it comes to senses. So the body is actually going to be a tiny bit bigger than this oval. That oval is a good start off. So we can begin fleshing out our skeleton at this point. The jaw is going to be cracked open, but we can focus a little bit more on the head later. And I just want to get each joint a little bit more fleshed out. So it is like a, what do you call, like a lean machine of an animal. It's got thin arms. It's got a deep chest. Its legs are muscled, but still pretty thin. It's got like a spike that comes out of the heel. Very long ankle. It's got that sickle claw, the raptor claw. Put in the calf there. So overall, a very scary looking dinosaur. You don't want to meet this guy at nighttime. Okay, so the tail is going to be quite thin at the end and have a bunch of spikes. But I like how this shape looks. I think we can move on to the next stage, which will be just like adding more refinement and rendering in our dinosaur. So let's begin with the head. We're going to be working from left to right. I'm going to erase some of that circle. Just get that out of the way. So we have a clean slate to work with. And since you guys have already done the head tutorial of Scorpius Rex, you will now know how to draw the head like an expert. So start off with the eye, like so. It's going to be looking forward. I'm going to put some wrinkles around the eye. It's going to be nice and dark around there. Have that mean looking eyebrow. So I do have some shading pencils, and if you guys have some, you might want to use them to darken up some areas. It's got a very interesting line for the jaw here. It's got that squared face. Reminds me a lot of Carnotaurus. And as I said before, the back of the head really slopes backward, like so. So a very unique looking skull for this dinosaur. The nostril looks like a bulldog, it's like right in the front there. It's got that high cavity. And this area is going to be nice and bumpy. We add some little wrinkles coming up from the tip of from the edge of the lip here. It's got like a little sub cavity right about there. One back here as well. And of course it's got a bunch of scales, but I may add the scales in a later stage. Like so. But yeah, we want to make this brow very pronounced. Alright, I think we can move on to the bottom jaw, which is cracked open. Slightly. Like that. It's got a thin bottom jaw, so maybe not the strongest of bites. And then it's got a bunch of neck hanging down, as we talked about earlier in the head tutorial. So you guys, if you've not seen the tutorial I've done on how to draw the Scorpius-rex head, you should definitely go watch that, because it would help a ton with the little details of the head, because that's a very important part of drawing a dinosaur, is getting the head right. Okay, so the edge of the bottom jaw, we can line it with scales, like I'm doing. And then we can put in the teeth. Try to keep my hand out of the way. The teeth come in different sizes, and they're not the straightest of teeth. Put in the bottom teeth as well. I'm going to see a little bit of the opposite side of the bottom jaw in this picture. So let's put some shading in on the other side like that. And then we can add the teeth on the other side. This will make the jaw look like it's filled with teeth, which it is, but yeah, we'll see teeth on both sides. So it looks really good. This bottom part is going to be shaded, so we can make it a little darker. It's always nice to have a shading pencil on hand. Alright, we can move on to the neck. It's going to be like a backwards S shape, the line on the back of the neck. And we can take your eraser and erase some of that line that we don't need anymore. Make it nice and clean looking. And now we can begin putting in those epic looking quills, which the Scorpius-rex boasts along the back of its neck. And it has a bunch of these on the tail as well, making it double cool. And some on the back of the forearm / elbow, which I guess would make it triple cool. So yeah, let's continue these quills. You don't want to overcrowd it, because then it will start looking like hair. You want to space them out, make sure they look like quills. That's probably good enough. And there's also like a bunch of little bumps and scales on the edge of the neck, which we can put in. And this whole area is just like filled with wrinkles and scales. It's very complicated. Behind the back of the head is also going to be somewhat shaded. So we can do that really quick. Like so. The quills I think need to be a little bit darker, so we can go ahead and color those in. Because guys, I'm not doing a pen stage today. It's going to be all done in pencil. Because I feel like I've been doing too much pen. So it's going to be a complete pencil drawing. But to make these quills pop a little bit more, since we're just doing it in pencil, I think that we should color them in. Like so. Yeah, it looks much better, in my opinion, at least. Add some shading in between these two rows of scales. And as I said, later I'll be adding more scales across the entire skin of our dinosaur. And now we can put in the shoulder. The shoulder starts right about here, the end of the neck. It's got a short upper arm. Which you can put in. Make sure the shoulder has a little bit of shading to make it look nice and round. And then we can put in the forearm, which is very long. And as I said, the back, the elbow here, and the back of the forearm is covered with these little quills, which I will put in. Make it look nice and sharp. I really want to keep my hand out of the way, but a lot of times I gotta get different angles with my hand, so I have to cover what I'm drawing. So I apologize for that. I hope the Scorpius-rex doesn't spike itself with its own claws. It looks like it might happen though, when it does certain movements. Okay, so there's like a bunch of little bits of grass here that you might want to put in. I don't know, it's up to you. But the claws and hands, or little fingers, are kind of hidden in the grass. So we're not going to be able to see them too well. We'll see about 2 of the fingers. I'm pretty sure it has 3 fingered claws, but we'll put in 2 of the fingers. That's all we can see at this from this angle. And the palm, it's going to be right about there. And add these scales on top of each finger. And I'd encourage you to draw the little bits of grass. It'll make your drawing look more complete. Okay, so the bottom of the forearm is going to be shaded in lightly. Looking good. I'm very happy with how that arm turned out. I'm going to put in the chest. It's got a thick chest there, and the belly goes upwards. This dinosaur is in shape. So yeah, the belly is not too complicated. We've just drawn it pretty much. It's got this midline that goes up. It's going to have some shading. So yeah, basically just put in shading and you'll be fine. Right now I want to put in the other forearm, since we're practiced at doing forearms. This forearm is a little interesting because the fingers are sort of like in the motion of being lifted up. I'm not the best at drawing hands or claws or whatever, fingers. But yeah, it looks like this hand is about to be lifted up. You can add these scales on top of the different fingers. Scorpius Rex looks really cool in Jurassic World the game as well. So I may do a tutorial on that in the future if you guys request it enough. Because I have a long list, by the way, a very long list at this point of different things I have to draw. But I'm really happy we finally got around to doing Scorpius Rex full body. So this forearm is going to be really shaded in. You can do some cross hatching. To give it that dark appearance, or you can switch over to a shading pencil to give it a richer dark tone, like I'm doing right now. You can also shade in between these fingers. So it looks really, really cool. The sniffing Scorpius Rex. I'm also going to erase some lines to clean up our drawing. And I'm actually going to erase, lines all over the place that we don't need anymore. Just things that might get in the way later. So the back is very interesting. It's got these plates that are rather spiky, and they overlap like armor. So good luck trying to bite this animal on the back if you're another Scorpius Rex, because it's nice and armored. And this armor continues. The plates get more spread out as we get nearer to the tip of the tail, and they sort of finish right about there. And right here is where the quills will begin to spike out. So our tail actually looks pretty good right now. All we have to do is add the spikes, but we'll do that in a minute. For now, I want to perhaps add some shading to each of these individually. This is something I would do later in the time lapse, but I want you guys to see how to make your drawings look better. This is one thing you can do, is shade each individual plate. Just makes them look a lot more realistic. If you like, it looks like little mountains, you know, like a mountain range. All right, so this area is going to have some big scales and bumps all over it. It's got very tough looking skin. So we'll put some of that in right there. It's going to have wrinkles, like deep wrinkles, to lead up to the spine there. And it will be all scaled in when I finish the drawing. The front of the thigh is pretty much put in, that line. So make sure you've got that put in. Now we can put in the rest of the thigh, the hamstrings right about here. Add a line right about there. Maybe another one to show the muscle definition. It's going to have scales here. Going to do some rendering. Put in a bunch of rounded lines here to give it some shape. It's like showing the texture of the skin, but also giving it shading, showing the roundness of the leg. So it can be tedious at times, but the lines pay off in the end. And for the hamstring, I like to have the lines going up and down like so. Just one of the ways I draw dinosaur thighs. Okay, so the knee has got a bunch of little bumps in it, which I think is kind of cool. Looks like a very armored knee. Just gonna put those in. It's got a muscular calf. For the cow, we can add some shading around it. Okay, so we can go ahead to the ankle and put in that spike that's on the heel. Got a very long foot. It's got such a weird foot now that I'm looking at it closely. It's quite wide. It looks like, yeah, it's got the 2 claws that look pretty normal. The 2 toes, toe claws, and then it's got that sickle claw. But it's a weird sickle claw because it's not like the toe is lifted up. The toe is on the ground, but the claw just sticks up anyways. So it looks like it would be a useless weapon. So pretty interesting. Maybe it was the fault of the genetic engineers at InGen who designed Scorpius Rex, but who knows? Yeah, it might have been a little mutation or mess up. Or maybe they did it on purpose just to make it look like that. And I don't know. I'll have to look into it, but it's a very interesting looking foot overall. Okay, so this area looks a little messy, so I'm going to redo this line. I think it should be a little thicker. And I'll add some shading. I want to make the line look a little softer there. Okay, so this area has got lots of scales to lead up. Again, I'm going to do some erasing. I want the lines to look neat. Add some scales there. And if you guys have a shading pencil, you can bring that out again and shade between the toes. And this back area as well can be shaded. Alright, I think the tail is like, the lines are already pretty much put in for the tail, so let's finish off this other leg. And this leg is going to be a little bit tricky, I can already tell, just by the way it looks in our outline, because it's sort of like in motion, and when legs are in motion it's a little harder than if they're just standing. This one also looks like it's about to be lifted up and brought forward, because the Scorpius Rex is like crawling along, sniffing a scent of its prey. And this time we'll get a side view of that interesting sickle claw, which is like also overly curved. It's like way too curved to be of use. I personally think that 2 raptors could take out Scorpius Rex. But if it was Scorpius Rex versus 1 raptor, the Scorpius Rex would probably take the W, so. That's what I would bet if there was money on the line. And definitely I think a T-Rex could take out Scorpius Rex just because of the sheer size of Tyrannosaurus. Like when it comes to the bite force, the T-Rex has a much stronger bite force than the Scorpius Rex. The Scorpius Rex is pretty fast, so you gotta take that into account. So this leg is going to be shaded in pretty much the whole leg, especially the bottom portions. Okay, so I might erase a little bit around the tail here. We'll redraw that. going to have this midline that's going to continue along all the way till we get to this curve. So the curve is a little bit tricky to figure out because we're going to have spikes that are like facing, we're looking at them from above essentially. These quills, which we will color in. So make the quills follow this little line I've put in. They start up right about there. As the tail turns, they also turn. So you can see how it's a little bit confusing to draw. I'm not sure if I'm doing the best of jobs showing you guys how to do it. Yeah, we can now draw the side, the actual sides of the tail. And the tip. Right about there. So I'm going to shade this bottom portion of the tail. And then we can add some more wrinkles that go up and down along the tail there. Alright guys, I think the tutorial part of this drawing is completed. If you've come this far, congratulations. I'm impressed that you have the diligence to push through and get to the end of the tutorial. And I will see you guys right after this bit of speed drawing. I'm gonna time-lapse me drawing in all the scales and putting in some more shading. So I'll see you guys in a sec. Alright everyone, I put in a bunch of scales, as you can see. So many scales, probably like over 1,000. But now it is time to sign our drawings. This is the first drawing in 2022. So cool. Feels so weird to write that. But yeah, be sure to sign your drawing and put in the date so you can remember when you drew it. That being said guys, be sure to comment below what you think I should draw next. If this video was helpful, leave it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.